So in this question we're told that in a right angle triangle, the opposite side is x centimeters, the adjacent side is going to be x plus 7 centimeters. So two unknowns, but both involve an x, which is fine. And then the hypotenuse is going to be 13 centimeters. So we're asked to find the value of x. And so what I would always start by doing is just drawing a little diagram. So if we have a side along the bottom, which we say is x, then a slightly longer side, which we can say is going up this way, which is going to be x plus 7. Not the straightest line, so I might just fix it here in a second. So that's a little bit better, and then we just connect these two sides to finish our triangle. Let me know the hypotenuse in this case, which is opposite our right angle, is going to be 13 centimeters. And now technically, because we have the knowledge that x is the opposite, we would have an angle in here which x is opposite to, but that's not too important once we draw a triangle correctly. And we basically know that based on the question, this is going to satisfy Pythagoras' theorem. So we're going to have that x squared plus x plus 7 all to be squared is going to be equal to 13 squared. So this is going to be based on Pythagoras' theorem, again because we know the hypotenuse is 13 and the smaller sides are x and x plus 7. And so now we can start to simplify this. So we get x squared, and then to expand our bracket, we're going to have x squared inside the bracket plus 2 times x times 7, which is going to give us plus 14x. And so this is just some practice expanding our x plus 7 bracket as well, which is good. And then we have plus 49 at the end. And then on the right hand side, we're going to have 13 squared, which is going to be equal to 169. And so now you can see it's starting to shape up a bit, and it is going to end up being a quadratic here in a second. But we're not going to worry about that yet. We're just going to start by grouping our terms. So we have x squared plus x squared, which is going to be 2x squared. And then we're going to have plus 14x. And then lastly, we're going to have 49 minus 169. So we're going to be bringing over that 169 from the right hand side. So 49 minus 169 is going to give us minus 120 on the left hand side, and that's going to be equal to 0. And then now our next step is going to be to divide everywhere by 2, because we want to always try to get rid of the number in front of x squared if we can. And in this case we actually can, because all of our terms are divisible by 2. So we can simply divide across by 2 to get x squared plus 7x minus 60 is going to be equal to 0. And so now our job is going to be to look for factors of 60 which add up to plus 7, or sort of the difference between the two factors is going to be 7, and there actually are 2 in this case. They're a little bit hard to spot at first, but they do exist. So if we set up our brackets here and start to experiment, we can actually list out all the factors of 60 just for a quick second here. So the first factor of 60 is going to be 1, naturally enough, and then we have 2, 4, 5, we're going to have 10, and we're going to have 12, and we're going to have 15. And then the next one is going to be 30, and then our final one is going to be 60. So these are all the factors of 60, and there are quite a few of them. But if we just look for 2 of these, which are a pair, so one multiplies the other, and they both give us a difference of 7, we can see that if we start in the middle, so it's not going to be 10 and 6, these are going to give us a difference of 4, but it actually is going to be 5 and 12. So basically 12 minus 5 gives us 7, and so we can actually have a plus 12 and a minus 5. So those are going to be the 2 numbers in our brackets, and so that's going to be a little bit trickier in terms of actually figuring out what your numbers inside the brackets are based on your guide number, but it's not too bad once you spot the 5 and the 12. And so that's going to be it, and we actually just need now to basically put these into actual values. So the x plus 12 is going to become x is equal to minus 12, and then x minus 5 is going to go over onto the right hand side and become x is equal to 5. And so there's a final trick in this question, basically to get to your full marks, which is going to be to identify that only one of these is a valid option, because you can see that one of them is negative and one of them is positive. And so it's going to be the one that's positive, which we can actually use as a length, because if we're thinking about triangles, we can't have a negative length. So we can't have minus 12 here in the bottom for our triangle, because we can't have negative numbers as lengths. And so yeah, in this case it's going to be x is equal to 5 centimeters is our correct answer. So you can just kind of put a circle around that, the examiner knows, or maybe put a star beside it, or the word correct, or whatever you want to do with that. But that is going to be it for this question.